not encouraging or advising anyone to modify their firearms. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Hey, what's up everyone? I'm at the point in my second double stack 1911 build where it is time to fit these two barrels to the pistol. I made a pretty long and detailed video about the 1911 barrel fitting process while I was fitting the barrel to this pistol, the first double stack 1911 that I built. Links to that video in my 1911 technical content playlist will be in the description. This video will only cover the aspects of the barrel fitting process that I'm doing differently based on what I learned the first time. I'm fitting two barrels to this 4 1/4 pistol. This one will be ported and this one is extended and threaded so I can run the pistol suppressed. Let's get into it. First, I will start with the barrel hood width formula. I didn't use this the last time when I should have. I didn't get the best fit on the hood of the barrel in my first build. Campfire Arms left a comment on my first barrel fitting video with a great explanation of how it's done, so thanks to him for that. Using the barrel hood width formula, I determined 17 thou needed to come off the right side and 7 thou of the left side of both of these barrel hoods. I will put a link in the description to a short video I made about the barrel hood width formula. Both these barrel hoods were long by 12 thousandths of an inch. So I will machine 16 thou off the right and 6 thou off the left of each hood, leaving myself 1 thou to do by hand on each side. I will machine 10 thou off of the hood length, leaving me 2 to do by hand. To save myself setup time for the barrel hood machining, I bought this barrel hood machining fixture from Everglades Ammo. It holds the barrel like this. You tighten the screw to lock it in place, and then I clamp this block in my mill vise, and then I can machine both sides and the top of the barrel hood. The Everglades Ammo jig makes fixturing and machining the barrel hood width and lengths much easier and quicker. On my last build, I had link down interference. The barrel could not tilt down far enough in the slide due to the tightness of the slide barrel passage. I also had to cut bigger chamfers on the inside of the front frame rail section here so the barrel could link down low enough to have proper contact with the vertical impact surfaces. You can, take material off the barrels to create these clearances, but I don't really want to remove material from the chamber area of the barrel, nor do I want to take weight off this nice heavy profile bull barrel. So I opted to take material off the slide and frame rails. Last time I did it by hand and it took forever. I checked that I was going to have the same link down clearance issues, and I was. But this time I just machined the material off. I chamfered the front frame rail area another 60 thou. I put the slide upside down in a tilting vise at 10 degrees and clearanced the bottom of the slide barrel passage with a 1/4 inch ball end mill. After I cut the lower lugs of my barrels, selected my barrel links, and took some material off this surface right here, I had established correct vertical impact surface contact. I had no interference from this section of the frame rails or the inside of the slide barrel passage. So those were really the only things I did differently from the barrel fitting process of my first build. Let's go over some mistakes I made and challenges I ran into. The first challenge or thing that was different from the first build was that the slide barrel passage was too tight on the muzzle end. I started, taking material off the end of my hoods, and when I thought I had them fit properly, as in they stopped going upwards into the slide, I checked firing pin alignment and saw this. That's about half a firing pin low. The chamber end of the barrel was not going up into the slide all the way. I also confirmed that my upper lugs were not fully engaging by taking an impression with clay. The barrel was binding at the muzzle end, and that wasn't allowing the chamber end to tilt all the way up into the slide. This was the case with both barrels. I 3D printed a little mandrel and wrapped some sandpaper around it and opened up the slide barrel passage at the muzzle just slightly. I only increased the diameter about 2 thou, so the barrel passage went from 699 to 701. This allowed both barrels to go up into 100% vertical lockup. The other challenge was a result of me trying to fit this slide onto a Commander frame. I made a couple of videos about this. These 4.25 Atlas slides are supposed to go on a government spec frame with a longer front rail section. Anyways, when I cut the lugs with the lug cutting tool and the slide and dust cover were flush, the lower lugs looked like this. I snuck the slide back about 20 thou, and an unforeseen consequence I didn't consider was that there wasn't enough lower lug material protruding forward. I cut the lugs the rest of the way until I had proper contact on the slide stop, and lo and behold, there was about 20 thousandths of slide material hanging over the front of the dust cover. So I machined the front of the slide more, but I did it at an angle like this, so it took more material off down here, leaving me more meat up here in front of the dovetail, which was one of my initial concerns with shortening this slide. And then of course I had to shorten my custom spring plug again. I made a silly but rather inconsequential mistake. I have a box of all my 1911 tools, and I reached in there and grabbed what I thought was a 154 diameter barrel link pin reamer. Turns out I grabbed my hammer pin reamer, which is 157 thousandths diameter. So I reamed the link pin hole on just this barrel, slightly oversized. Not a huge deal. You know, you can stake the pin in place, or in my case, I just machined a new slightly oversized link pin out of 17-4 stainless, and there's still adequate clearance between this pin and my barrel link. I have also since separated my 1911 tools into individual boxes for each process, so hopefully something like this won't happen again. That's it for this one. Fitting these two guys went much smoother than the first barrel. I got a much nicer fit on the barrel hoods. Finishing the lower lugs by hand after using the cutting tools is still challenging, and it's just one of those things where I'm going to have to do it more and more to get more practice and feel comfortable with it. I didn't think I got the best fit on these lower lugs just based on the contact I was seeing with the slide stop. But then I test fired it, and it printed an 1.25 inch group at 25 yards with 115 grain FMJ ammo. So it must not be too bad. I hope this was interesting, informative, or helpful to you in some way. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.